there are other contraceptive ways to not have babies and not procreate in the first place, because you know that rape and incest are like in the lowest of the low odds. That is the reason that why women get abortion. No, what about women are raped? I am 100% pro-abortion in that case. That is my stance. If a woman is raped, then she should get an abortion. She has the right, if she wants to, of course. She should not be forced to do anything, but I think it's logical. I have always thought like that. I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. Again, I have to be clear about this. Time to ramble. That it also comes from my own perception of the world and life and death. All right? I, Jesus Enrique Rosas, I don't think this is the only life we had. We come many times. We reincarnated many times. Many attempts. That's why some people struggle so much. That's why so many people arrive with intelligent skills is something that is so, everything is so natural to them. How is that fair? How many people struggle so much and how many people find it so natural to them? I believe that's why we are at different stages of this game, this video game of life that we are playing. So some of us have been through this level like 200 times and others have been 5,000 times, and maybe they have more skills than us. So that's why I think that is in case of a woman is raped, it's not a big deal if you have an abortion, because that soul that was going to come, again, this is my perspective in the world. This is how I frame my understanding of life and death. That soul is going to be ultimately channeled to another family. Okay, it's that simple. Again, Jesus is out of, no, that is how I organize my beliefs. As a Christian, I'm a Christian and I believe in reincarnation. You know that I'm special. You already know that. But this is the way that I try to explain what is fair and what is not. Because I've always found it since a very young age. I ask the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? And I could never, I asked that question no less than 10 times to people who could answer that, to priests, especially to priests, because, well, that the question was about God. The question was about God. Why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? And bad things to happen to innocent children. How does that work? And again, this could trigger some of you. This could, you're absolutely open to disagree with me on this. This is how I see it. I have a deist, and I don't know how to pronounce that, approach to this, how to say that, to how God interacts with the world, in the sense that He created the world and the universe and everything. Again, He's not like He out of thin air. No, the Big Bang was it. As far as I've seen, yeah, evolution is real. All this part, you have a huge designer who is God, and the Big Bang, evolution, and everything was part of that. But why do bad things happen to innocent children? And the only explanation that I could get, because no priest, no Catholic priest, I have to be very specific about that, no Catholic priest could explain that. Oh, that you don't know what are God's plan. I don't think that God's plan can feed a child be trafficked. That couldn't be. If that is God's plan, then God is not good. And if God is not good, we are all fucked up big time. And no, that wouldn't make anything worth it. Nothing would be worth it. So we assume that God exists and God is good. And if God exists and God is good, then why innocent people suffer. And I reached the conclusion that God cannot help us directly, as in, may move the pieces for us. He cannot do it. But we can pray for a guidance. We can reach out to God and ask Him, what should I do? And now we're talking about abortion. That's something that that we could do. What could we do in this situations? I have been through some experiences. Maybe at some point, that I'm very private with my personal life, but I've been through experiences that, yes, I had to reach out to God and ask for guidance, because, well, I knew that He, or what I believe, what explained that He cannot, why do innocent children suffer in ways that are unimaginable and horrible, that we cannot even describe them in any social media, but how so horrific. And how you explain that? How does God allow that to happen? The problem is the rules of the universe in which we exist. Sadly, that's something that can happen, but we can ask God for guidance. And at the same time, that's why I believe that every time that we realize that we have a skill, every time that there's a moment of truth, every time that is our time to shine, we have to do the right thing. It's like saying, you cannot look the other way. You cannot just let evil reign, because the only way that is that saying, right? The only thing that bad people need to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So it's on us. We have the agency to stop the things. God has given us the energy and the intelligence and the ability to take action against evil. That's part of what I'm doing right now. I'm absolutely sure that Kamala Harris being president of the United States will be one of the worst things that could happen not only to the United States but the world. I mean, it's the question that you ask: where else can be wrong? It's like the whole world's being infected by this mind virus. And who is pushing this mind virus? It is my question. So I have a platform. I talk about body language. I crack a joke here and there. I'm going to stay on the sidelines. Then what happens when I die and I go to check how I did in this attempt and this life that I'm before, coming back with my next life? They're going to say, Jesus, what happened here? We gave you some smarts, some charisma. I mean, you have earned that through, coming back and coming back and coming back, and you earned it yourself through many lives. And at this point in time, you could have done the right thing and speak so people could think for themselves. And there are two possibilities. Either I did or I didn't. Did I do it? I'm doing it right now. I am not doing it because I fear that I'm going to be judged when I die. I do it because I believe that is the right thing to do. And almost 100% of the times, the right thing to do is going to be awfully difficult and going to be terrifying. Because can we just sit this one out? I don't want to do this. I prefer a comfortable life. You can have a comfortable life. You can sit that one out. You can be not political. You can be not be involved in that. But then when evil manifestates in the world, either at a huge scale or at a personal scale, in your family or your neighborhood or your country, how can you complain if you did not act? And that very action sparks from that energy that is our divine energy. That the breath, the beating of God in our hearts, that energy is what compels us to act. In all cases, we could say that God acts on earth through us. That could be it. Oh yeah, God actually acts on earth, but He acts through our actions. But He gives us free will. You can sit that one out. There's no problem. But most probably you will suffer. Not because God is evil and He wants you to suffer, but it's the dynamics of what's going on. If I choose to sit this one out, I could have chosen to, I'm not going to mess up with politics. I am going to pretend that nothing has happened. I'm going to just keep talking about anything that is not politics. That's okay. I really, in the end, will not be judged by that. Nothing really will happen, but I would not improve at the same time. It's like I came here in this incarnation and I did not have, I did not seize the opportunity to be able to help with my skills. And in some cases that would be a sin. Is that to say that God grants you the skills, God grants you the energy, God grants you all that you need to act in His name to do good, because, well, you can also use His energy to do bad, of course. It's your choice. That's the idea. If everything was predestined, if fate was fixed, what would be the idea behind that? Oh, God has a plan. All right, but then how does it make free will something, makes it a thing, makes it something that makes sense? Again, this is the kind of things that I don't talk about this much, because I can understand that my beliefs can be a bit uncommon, if not a completely different from many people. But I believe that we should, corresponding to our values and principles, because principles are, for example, responsibility, being able to acknowledge and being honest, for example, that is a principle. Our values, what we value in our lives or what we want in our lives, that is a very personal mix. And I believe that our beliefs should be like designed around those values. And if we ask questions that nobody can answer, then we need to find the way to answer them themselves. Why do bad things happen to innocent children? Then I found the way to explain it for myself. And that's why, if you see that I speak about abortion in one way, it comes from reasoning, it comes from thinking, it comes from talking with God at night. Explain to me. I need some guidance. I need to make sense of this. And I told you that I was an atheist for many years. I don't believe in God. I said that He doesn't exist. It cannot. It's impossible. Until, it just doesn't work like that. He's very real. Again, this is as the same way I went into politics. Oh, that is not just that is not your topic, Jesus. Stay in your lane. This is my show. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. But I'm trying to signal for, because maybe some of you might have similar questions. But I think about religion this way. I think about spirituality this way. I think about this. There's something that is off, and I felt the same. I felt that something that was off. These pieces do not match each other. I mean, how do you read the Bible? Do you read it like literally, or do you interpret it like allegories? Well, in my case, I answer allegories. Yeah, because we have developed the means to realize that, the planet Earth is more than 9,000 years old. Much more than that. So it means that, so many in the scriptures, we have to take them as allegories, and they will awaken our understanding better because of that. Because every human being will be able to interpret them depending on their level of understanding. That's something that we should talk about as well. I went really dense to that today. I went full Alan Watts today. But this is something that I wanted to talk about. Again, I can be a bit rough sometimes with my ideas. I just want to explain where that ideas come from, not to impose them on you, but try to give you an example that you have the right to model the understanding of the world, or your approach of the understanding of the world, like a custom-made suit, right? Something that fits you perfectly to your own values and your own experience, because everyone's experience is different. And I hate as much as you when someone pretends to know about my struggle, about the struggle of Venezuelans, or about the struggle of Latinos, or about the struggle of Latino men in other countries, whatever, more than me. No, I know about my struggle. And sometimes you live in the same building and the same city, and you're in the same family, and you have different struggles from your brother. That happens all the time. And nobody knows it but you. Nobody would understand that but you. That's why for me it's so important for every person to have agency over their thoughts. Okay, what do I think about this? How I feel about this? It's easier to just listen to the media. The media says that you should act like this. Okay, well, maybe I should act like this. That's easier. Just obey. Don't think, just obey. But you are betraying the energy that you have. And regardless of what you believe in, you might be a Christian, you might be a Jew, might be a Muslim, might be a atheist, agnostic. It's regardless, your heart is beating, you are breathing, you have energy within you. And you might think that energy is limited. You might think that you have only one life. That's okay. There's no problem with that, but you have energy. You are alive. You're watching me just because you're alive. And you have an opportunity, at least one opportunity, to do the right thing. And that doing the right thing has to come, not because someone else tells you to do the right thing, but because you know what is the right thing to do. So yeah, it's a bit crazy. Today I went full Alan Watts today. I went full Alan Watts. I don't know how many people have already unsubscribed. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I've told my friends, very close friends, this is the kind of things that I'm going to dedicate some kind of person. No, this I'm not going to dedicate another channel. Maybe ultimately I will fusion everything in a single channel. I will have only one channel to say, speak all this. Right now is not the time. You also need a sense of timing and opportunity, because sometimes you feel that maybe you should do something about the world or your situation, and maybe it's not the right time. Maybe you have to plan it so you can unleash the greatest amount of power at the right time. That is another level of complexity, but that's what makes life so interesting, so fascinating. So yes, again, I always been fascinated by thinking, and especially metacognition, thinking about my own thinking processes, why am I thinking this, and that is part of emotional intelligence as well. That's why I tell you that these decisions, for example, about abortion, can be so difficult, because they involve very strong emotions, extremely strong emotions. And you need to realize, stop and wonder, why am I feeling like this? What triggered this feeling? Is it proportional, what I'm feeling, to what triggered it? Have I felt like this before? Is this coming from some kind of event? Maybe not trauma, but some event earlier in my life? Why do I react the same way when people act like this, or say these words, or mention this topic? Why do I react in this way? That is part of emotional intelligence. People think that, and the problem with emotional intelligence is that it became so devalued because of all the fake gurus, but it's a real thing. Being able to know, starting to know why you feel things, when you feel them, what triggered them. If you have felt that before, that's why it's so important to write down them. It would be better if you write down them digitally, so you can search for them other days that you have felt the same feelings for similar circumstances, and you begin to understand what triggers you, and especially why. Because knowing is the first step to, all right, that's why I don't like, maybe you don't like Trump because you have never liked billionaires or businessmen. Maybe that's the reason. And you find out, okay, maybe it's not Trump, but I don't like this kind of people in general. But that is the problem. The word general. Case by case basis. Remember, we have to address things in a case by case basis. It's like in my timeline these days, yesterday. These days was yesterday. You know that when you create content, time works different for in many ways. I don't know if you know Teal Swan. Teal Swan, many people say, oh, she's a narcissist, she's a manipulative personality, she's toxic, whatever. But she said something that made really, I retweeted her about men and women, that we men, she said that we men, she made a great analogy that I have never heard. We are like a clamshell, all right? Men are like a clamshell, and women are the pearl. Like our duty is to protect women so they can grow and shine and thrive. And I found that just wonderful and beautiful. Oh, that's pretty much like it. That is on point. We are like protectors of that beautiful pearl, that beautiful internal part of the oyster, in which is women, and we protect our women so they can grow and shine. It's not that we are enclosing them like slaves. No, it's not that. We are protecting them And that protection, they can feel safe, and they can grow, and they can shine. And by growing and shining, I mean that they can grow in any way they want. They can build things, be entrepreneurs, or work if they want, whatever they want to do. That's something that. But what was the analogy? The analogy was so powerful. It was just 40 seconds, and maybe you don't like Teal Swan, and maybe she has said 1,000 things that maybe make no sense, or you find it narcissistic or manipulative. But that one thing resonated with me, and what I think is the relationship with men and women, and said, okay, I can take this from Teal. It's not because it's Teal Swan. Oh no, I just don't like her. Whatever she says, it's wrong. I will reject it. We arrive at the same question. Donald Trump drinks water. Are you going to stop drinking water for the rest of your very short life because Donald Trump drinks water? No. Am I refrain from wearing a suit just because Donald Trump wears a suit? Oh, he wears a suit, I'm not going to wear a suit again. No, that doesn't work like that. Case by case basis. Okay, can I use this for me? Is this useful for me? Can this discussion about abortion be useful for me? Can I have a stance that I can understand? Because I cannot judge for other person. I cannot do it. Every person has to make their own decisions. And of course, it's not only women are the most closely involved in this decision, but men are also involved in that decision as well. So again, it's I love this ramblings in the sense that I don't have a time limit in these live streams. There's really no script. I have, of course, a lot of content here. I have always, it's something that has always just bothered me so much that I don't want to just be a news reader. I mean, I'm not here for that. I mean, I can crack jokes about what's going on. I can try to guide people about thinking. I don't want to tell you what to do. I think because I don't like anyone to tell me what to do. Something that I hate many things in life, and people telling me what to do is perhaps in the first, if not the first spot, is the second spot. So I would not do to you what I hate so much to me. That would be hypocritical. I just try to explain to you, if I made a decision to support Donald Trump, I try to explain why I'm supporting Donald Trump and why am I against Kamala Harris. Try to make you see what I see. Maybe I won't change your point of view. Maybe I will expand your point of view. Maybe even what I say will make you vote for Kamala Harris. That's fair in the end. That's why I tell you that I'm hopeful for the future. It's because of my beliefs. I believe that we are a series of attempts, like a video game. We have many lives. We have literally infinite lives. But when it comes to do the right thing, we have to do the right thing. You either do the right thing now or you will do the right thing later, but you eventually will have to go through that. And that's what makes us grow. And that's what makes us proud of ourselves. And that's what makes having this energy, whatever you believe in, worth it. So no, there are no easy answers to complex topics. No, there are no easy answers to, or black and white answers to international conflicts. There are always, there will be always angles that make you doubt your worldview, but you have to put everything in perspective. And as everything, you have to measure everything, every single amount of data or piece of data has to be framed on the whole, with the whole. Okay, I would like to elaborate further on that, but I think I ramble enough today about that. But again, it's this is it. This is what my show is about. This is what my mission is about. I feel that this is my mission. Of course, as any other human being, I have a limited perspective of the world, a limited perspective of the universe. I have just a certain amount of interpretation. But I ask myself a lot of uncomfortable questions. And I ask myself, especially observing human behavior, why do people behave irrationally sometimes, or most of the time? Why do I behave irrationally so many times? Why it's so hard for me, for example, to have to fix my sleep schedule? And that's when I go back throughout my life and try to memorize, why do I feel this about sleeping? Is because in school, back in school, sleeping early was seen as you're a loser. If you sleep before midnight, you're such a loser, right? And let's say that I developed that, and it went worse and worse over time, and I just had this strong relationship between going to sleep early and being a loser. And something that I just forgot about that and went well into adulthood, and I realized that I needed to fix my sleep schedule because it was just destroying me in a hormonal level, in a general health, mental health, everything. And I said, why is this so difficult? Why do I know all the tricks and tips to have a sound sleep? I can sleep 1 or 2 nights, and then I have insomnia the 3rd night. It's because I realized that something happened to me. Then I frame this in this way, and I'm making the bad decision. I'm acting irrationally, and I have to deprogram myself and reprogram in a healthy way. But you know that at the same time, with the news that break close to sleep time, and I'm just browsing my phone, X on my phone, and say, oh my God, should I do this analysis right now? Should I review this right now and wait until tomorrow? Yeah, everything can wait until tomorrow. So everything, our decisions always spark from something else, something that has happened to us, and most important, from our values. I've got a video about values on my Body Language Guide channel that you should check out. It's one of the most important videos that I've ever made. Let me see if I can search for it for you. Just now we were talking about it.